Welcome back to another episode of PTV. I'm Layla Krim.
And I'm Trent Herrick. Although the weather doesn't feel like it yet, it is springtime, and this year's Spring Parent-Teacher Conferences return to the high school.
These weren't our typical conferences, though. Jacob Mahaffey explains.
As we head into the fourth 9 weeks, it's time for another Parent-Teacher Conference.
Conferences went good. I saw all but one of the parents and students that I have in my essay. I felt it was very productive, and it started a good conversation between parents and students and teacher.
These aren't any normal conferences. They mainly focused on career cruising.
I don't think any were really surprised by the career choices that their students had made. Some of them found it very humorous, some of the career choices that were suggested after they had taken the assessment.
Career cruising is a program designed to channel students' interest and your skills to find college or careers.
But after conferences, when they had time, it would be good to go back in and really look into the careers that are possible within the same grouping or area. Like if they were interested in art, there are lots and lots of different careers along those lines. And so which of those careers would suit their needs and their skills the best?
For PTV, this is Jacob Mahaffey.
Shall I compare thee to a summer's day?
What? Me? Trent, are you okay?
We know what we are, but not what we may be.
I think you may be a little off your rocker.
No, Layla, there's a method to my madness. I'm quoting some of Shakespeare's most famous quotes.
Oh, I see. I've noticed there were a lot of Shakespeare's quotes posted throughout the school. What was that all about?
Let's find out in our next story.
To understand Shakespeare or to not understand Shakespeare? That is the question that English 1 students are hoping to master.
The activity that we're doing focuses on the idea that Shakespeare's a little hard to understand, and kids tend to put a wall up when they hear Shakespeare. So we did this activity where you take all of these quotes out of context, but you look at the quote, you look at how Shakespeare used the words, and you then would guess, if we had to put that up somewhere in this building, what kind of room or subject or teacher or staff member would this quote best fit?
Connecting quotes to different classrooms helps students better relate to Shakespeare.
We learned that Shakespeare's words aren't, if you actually take time to comprehend them, they're not as hard as you might think at first. My quote was, "Come give us a taste of quality," so we put it next to the fax room.
For PTV, this is Connor Roth.
I guess once you think about what Shakespeare was really saying, it doesn't seem so complicated, but I still prefer a more modern performance.
Maybe you'd prefer the play the Phillips County Art Council recently performed. Caitlin Freeman fills us in.
All right, I've got brown sandwiches and green sandwiches.
Local actors came together to perform The Odd Couple, female version, for the community.
Today was a little less energy. I think that we're all a little tired out, but it was an amazing performance. They did a fabulous job. Lots of laughter, lots of fun.
This play has some experienced actors as well as some new ones.
Susie had asked me if I would be interested in it, and I was like, no, and so she let me come read it, and I fell in love with the role, so I was like, okay, I'll do it.
The actors also have to be very dedicated to practices.
It takes a lot of commitment on their part, and of course, since it's voluntary, they have to make a huge time commitment. We have our rehearsals, and for this production we did 3 rehearsals a week, and then this past week we were here every single night, but they of course have to practice their lines outside on their own, so it's a huge time commitment, hundreds of hours.
Performances were fun, but challenging as well.
Trying to stay in character, remembering my lines, and just executing them.
Overall, the play was a success.
It was great, and we had a great time, and I thought it was good.
For PTV, this is Caitlin Freeman.
The Phillips County Arts Council isn't just about community theater. As Natalie Hughes explains in this next story, the Art Council does a variety of activities to spread the love of fine arts throughout the community.
Every Tuesday, the Phillipsburg Art Council meets in the PHS Art Room to practice a variety of skills.
The Phillips County Arts Council purpose is to make art classes or art performances like theater or bring in professional groups to our community since we live in a rural area and we want to have those activities available to people here.
Participants enjoy this opportunity to learn new things.
My favorite part about this art council program would be being able to make my own pots and taking them home.
My favorite part about this council is getting messy.
Whether it's volunteers or people to join their classes, the Phillips County Arts Council could always use the extra help.
We want people to get interested in the arts and to have the opportunity to come in and play or find out what they like. If you have any interest in theater or teaching or even volunteering to help teach, that would be wonderful. We need people that would be interested in helping with like the kids' day camp in the summer, teenagers included.
For PTV, this is Natalie Hughes.
Happy Easter, guys! Today I'm going to show you 3 ways to dye your eggs. First, you're going to take 6 eggs and we're going to boil them. Now that we've boiled our eggs, we're going to start with our first dyeing. I call it paper towel dyeing. You're going to take your paper towel, you're going to wrap your egg in it, get it as tight as you can, take your rubber band and put it around it so the paper towel stays in place. Then you're going to take your dye and you're going to make little dots all over the paper towel. Then you're going to take more dye and repeat this step. And then you're going to take a water bottle and spray the whole egg. Just so you get all the colors mixed together so it soaks in the egg nice. Now we let it set for 15 to 20 minutes. After we waited 15 minutes, we're going to cut the rubber band and find out what it looks like. What aren't these neat? Well, let's move on to the next one. See you there.
Springtime is also the time when music students prepare for contests and tours, and to help prepare for that, students performed a public concert showcasing some of those contest pieces. Here's more on that.
Phillipsburg High School's choir and amendment showcased their talents at the spring concert.
I think it went well. There was definitely spots where we can improve upon to make it better at contests, but for only having Mrs. Pinkerton for like a couple months, I thought it was pretty good.
I thought the concert went pretty well. We're preparing for contest.
It was okay in parts, and some parts were a little rough. We definitely have a lot of work to do to get it contest ready.
Some students performed their solos they will take to the regional contest.
Well, the old men's are waiting for to carry you to freedom. Follow the drinking gold.
Honestly, it sounded really good. I just nerves that is the problem.
Celebrate, celebrate, come to the music, celebrate. For PTV, this is Nyla Salinas.
Hi, my name is Jacob McClellan. I'm 18 years old and I'm addicted to growing out my hair. It all started in 4th grade when I stopped growing in height. Kind of had to compensate.
Oh, hey Jake, look, you grew an inch since 4th grade.
Sweet! Just 3 more feet and my hair will be as tall as I am. It really seems to attract the women though. But there's only one hair braider that I care about.
Yeah, I guess you could say we're relationship goals. We braid each other's hair.
No, your goes over, mine goes under.
Yes, I have a problem. What of it?
Mi casa es su casa, Layla.
Oh, that's nice, Trent. But what is it with you in quotes today?
Well, our next story is about the CASA auction, so...
Oh, that's clever, Trent. But this isn't that type of CASA. CASA stands for the Court-Appointed Special Advocates. They are volunteers who help look after the best interests of children. Riley Breton explains more in this next story about how funds were raised to help this cause.
Auctions, yummy snacks, and a chocolate fountain. What is all this for? They're for CASA. But what is CASA?
CASA it's court-appointed special advocates, and it consists of members of the community that are assigned by a judge to act as another voice for the kids, for abused and neglected kids in the court system. CASA we're a nonprofit agency, so we rely a lot on donations from the public and public support to operate. So the purpose of this auction is for funding to, we use all the funds from this auction, it all stays here locally, and we use it for work with the children, for recruitment and training of our volunteers.
Volunteers are crucial for this organization.
I have always enjoyed getting to know the kids. I've had 12 cases in my 16 years. The children have no one to speak for them. The parents, all the adults in the case usually have their own attorneys, and the kids, even babies, are drugged into this bad situation and have nobody to speak to them. So the CASAs get to know them.
The annual auction is crucial in earning money for the organization.
The auction we try to make it a family affair, and people have a lot of fun. We have all kinds of food, and the centerpiece of the auction is our chocolate fountain with all, I saw marshmallows and candy bars and all kinds of things out there for that. And people can eat and look at, there's 36 baskets of silent auction items that are out in the front room that they look at for the first hour. And then at after the first hour at 6 o'clock, we start a live auction. And during that live auction, we have some really big items that we auction off from there.
For PTV, this is Riley Breton.
Welcome back to our next dye job. Now we're going to dye eggs with shaving cream. You're going to take your can of shaving cream that's already shaken, and you're going to layer the pan 1 inch with shaving cream. Then you're going to take your spoon to even it out. Then you're going to take your dye and you're going to add the dye in random places. Now you're going to take a toothpick and make a swirly design or whatever design you want. Now you're going to add your eggs. You're going to roll them in there for a little bit. Then you're going to cover them as much as you can with the shaving cream. Now you're gonna let that sit for 10 to 15 minutes. Welcome back. It's been 15 minutes. Now let's wipe off the eggs and see what they look like. So, this is the final result. I think they look pretty cool. Well, see you next time.
This week, the students who took the New York and Washington, D.C. trip have returned. We caught up with them to see how the trip went. Here's that story.
Some juniors and seniors traveled to the East Coast on the annual New York, D.C. trip.
All right, so this year's trip, we went to Washington. We left Sunday from Phillipsburg. We got to Washington Monday morning.
Chilling in downtown, DC, where it's rainy, very rainy. We're walking to the National Archives. Ouch!
Went into Udvar-Hazy, which is just outside technically Virginia, and then into the Capitol.
Yeah, but it was really cool to see all the big monuments that you see like on TV.
We took pictures with Kansas.
And it was actually impressive.
And you posted a picture.
Then we left Washington Thursday morning. Thursday we went to Gettysburg, which is in Pennsylvania. Short trip up there. Toured the battlefield with about 8 inches of snow on the ground. Then we went to their museum. We saw a little video, and then went to the cyclorama. Friday we got up, made the trip into New York, went to Broadway, toured around New York, and then we left New York 5:30 Sunday night and made it back to Phillipsburg about 6 o'clock Monday.
Students enjoyed a variety of sights and activities.
The trip was pretty fun. We went to Washington, D.C., saw the Capitol and a bunch of museums and monuments. We went to Gettysburg to see the battlegrounds of one of the biggest battles in the Civil War. And we went to New York and saw the big city.
Well, the trip was a lot of fun. It was a really long ride up there, but it was definitely worth it. We got to see a lot of things that was like a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and I got to learn a lot of new stuff.
I thought the most interesting part of the trip was when we went to the Empire State Building in New York, and my probably most fun part was Broadway. I thought it was cool.
Gettysburg. We got to actually tour the battlefield, Pickett's Charge, where you know, they had to cross a mile of open field. I mean, like, who wants to walk out in an open field under fire?
To see their faces as they see the skyline. They just kind of lined up seeing the big city, and it's pretty fun doing that.
Mr. Fiskus hopes students didn't just have fun, but learned something too.
I hope that they learn that the U.S. really isn't as small as we think it ought to be.
Go to New York and you're standing there looking up the entire time because everything's, you know, taller than you are. It's like you're small, you know. You finally feel that, oh, there is more out here to the world.
For PTV, this is Eden Fight.
Hi, my name is Nolan Harris. I'm 15 years old and I'm addicted to dirt. It all started out on the farm when I was in the pig pen. I just loved the way it tasted. After that, I was hooked. It got so bad I started bringing it to school. I showered in it. Did you know there's actually 6 main food groups? Fruits, grains, vegetables, proteins, dairy, and dirt.
Yeah, I've kind of noticed.
Oh, good Lord.
I can't tell anybody about my addiction. It's too dirty.
Trent, did you do anything special to find a prom date this year?
Not really. We just decided a long time ago that we would go together.
Well, some students choose to go low-key with finding their prom dates. Others like to make grand gestures.
Layla and I found a few students who got creative with Promposals this year. Take a look.
Every year, students try to come up with new and creative ways to ask that special someone to prom.
Okay, so I was studying an essay, scrolling through Pinterest and looking at Promposals, and I thought of how he likes to do derbies, and I like corny jokes, so I turned it into a corny joke.
I was sitting at my shop because my dad said he needed my help, and then she showed up with a poster asking me to prom.
I said, I know you usually throw mud and hit trucks, but would you throw some shade and hit prom with me? He said yes.
Well, we were at his house, and then all of a sudden he asked me if I wanted to go outside. So I said sure, and then when we went out there, and there was a big duck with a sign on his porch, and then he asked me, and I checked yes.
So the day of, he asked me to go feed calves with him, and we walked down there. He had it written on the tag of the calf, and it said prom ? And then I just walked up and we fed the calves, and I checked yes.
Well, I was at work one day and we hauled a lot of bales, and then I was thinking prom's coming up and I got a girl that I want to take to prom. So
I asked Sydney Rowe to prom. Yeah, she was kind of surprised. I mean, she didn't expect it. She told my buddy that she didn't expect this.
Well, first off, he started telling me to stay in my vehicle once I got to the parking lot. And then after that, he had pulled up, of course, with hay bales. And then after that, it said prom, question mark, and then after that, it said, yes, of course, on it.
For PTV, this is Layla Karim.
Welcome back to the final dye job. We're gonna dye the eggs by putting rubber bands on them and then sticking them in the dye. I've already put my rubber bands on them, so you can put your rubber bands in whatever design you want. So then you're gonna place your egg inside the dye in whatever color you want. I made yellow, orange, teal, and purple. You're gonna let those sit for about 3 minutes. And then after that, you can pick them up and you can keep them in the same dye or you can move them to different dyes. Let's see how they turn out.
Here are the final products. Have an excellent Easter.
Now we go to Trey and John with a look at sports.
Hey Panther fans, it's time for our sports report. I'm Trey Sides.
And I'm John Honeycutt. In our last sports report, our boys basketball team was getting ready for the sub-state finals against Goodland.
Guess what? We won. Leading the way in that game was Jordan Ford with 18 points and 6 rebounds.
Feels great. We worked for it all year long and last year. Put a lot of work in this summer. I know everybody's been in the gym, so just an awesome feeling.
Coach Sides was happy for his team.
What a big game for us. The excitement, the adrenaline, and all the effort the kids went through to get the win. And 45 years for Phillipsburg, we definitely needed it.
In the first round of state, Phillipsburg faced off against MCL rival TMP for the third time this season. And for the third time this season, the Panthers had no problem handling the Monarchs as Phillipsburg cruised to a 67-44 victory.
Leading the scoring with 15 points was Trey Sides, and Jordan Ford added 14. 10 different Panthers added to the scoring totals for that game. The semifinals game against Cheney Cardinals proved to be a lot tougher.
The Panthers got off to a slow start as they trailed 7-16 in the first quarter, but went on a 7-point run to close the quarter, only trailing by 2.
The Panthers dug another hole in the second quarter and trailed by 8 until Trey Sides gets his steal for 2 points. But the Panthers still trailed at halftime, 20-26.
The struggle for the Panthers continued in the third quarter as the deficit grew to 9 points. But the Panthers picked up the pace a notch with plays like this that led to an easy 2 by Chris Van Kooten.
Still, just as the Panthers would get on a roll, the Cardinals would fight back, and the Panthers again trailed by 7 when Trey Sides hits his deep 3 to pull within 4 to end the third quarter.
The fourth quarter was all about the Panthers' desire to make it to the finals as Austin Miller gets back-to-back buckets to tie the game 37-37. And the Panthers get their first lead of the game when freshman Ty Sides drained this 3. The Panthers stay in control and go on to win 59-46.
The championship game was an uphill battle as Halstead started out with an early 4-0 lead. But Ty Sides gets the kick-out pass from Van Kooten to bury the 3-pointer. And Jack Pockbeer gets the assist from Jordan Ford for 2 points to keep the Panthers close in the first quarter. But after the first, the Panthers were behind 10-11.
The Panthers had a tough second quarter, and Halstead's lead grew to 8 as halftime approached.
But the second half starts well as Ty Sides finds his brother for the alley-oop and 2 points. But it was the fourth quarter that showed the fighting spirit of the Panthers as they gradually cut the Halstead lead. With less than 10 seconds remaining, Trey Sides drives to the hoop to tie the game 42-42.
Unfortunately, enough time remained for Halstead to get the last chance buzzer beater, and the Panthers fall 44-42.
Phillipsburg made school history by placing the highest any PHS team has placed before. And if that wasn't enough, this guy was also named Sports in Kansas 3A Player of the Year.
Thank you, John. I'm proud of that honor, but I think it's an award our whole team should share because I couldn't have done it without my teammates and good coaches along the way.
Hopefully we'll make it back to Hutchinson next year. But before that, we have an entire spring sports season ahead of us. With our preview on our track team, we go to Danica Hanship.
As spring break is over, the runners lace up their shoes and head down to the track.
So far, we're just getting started, but we've got really good numbers. We've got 35 girls and 30 boys out, so we've got big numbers, so we think we should be competitive in the MCL and all the local track meets.
Both players and coaches have high expectations for the season.
I guess one of our main goals every year is to win the MCL on both boys and girls sides, so we're going to have to compete very well to do that because there's a lot of really good track athletes in our league.
Making it to state is a goal of many.
I'd like to make it to state. It doesn't really matter what event, but it's the only sport I haven't been to state in so far, so that'd be nice.
For PTV, this is Danica Hanship.
Golf is also getting into the swing of things. Here's our preview of the golf team.
Our golf team is looking to have a terrific season.
Well, this year's team, we only graduated one varsity golfer last year, so we have a lot of good golfers back. We don't have a lot of depth, only 11 out, so that's kind of worrisome. We won't be able to go as many JV tournaments. So, but I'm looking forward to a successful season.
Individual success is just as important as team success.
I feel like we'll be pretty solid this year. Play some good golf, get back to state again.
Make it state, win as many tournaments as we can. Well, last year we were first after the front 9 of the state tournament, and hopefully we can get back to the state and finish where we started last year.
For PTV, this is John Honeycutt.
That's bingo.
Looks like our Panther fans will still have a lot to cheer about this spring.
Looks like we're out of time. I'm Trey Sides.
And I'm John Honeycutt.
Go Panthers.
Hi, my name is Mr. Fiscus. I'm 28 years old and I'm addicted to hand sanitizer. It started when I first began working at Phillipsburg High. I believe it started during my job interview, actually. We had a student who had pink eye. You wouldn't believe the amount of hand sanitizer I had to go through. Some people don't feel complete without clothes. I don't feel complete without hand sanitizer. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. I think 5 pumps a day keeps the germs away.
Here you go, Mr. Fiscus. Merry Christmas.
Oh, hand sanitizer, thanks! I know it's not professional, but I plan to get help.
That wraps up another episode of PTV. I'm Layla Karim.
And I'm Trent Herrick.
Stay classy, Phillipsburg High.